break large Omniscripts into child Omniscripts for better readability. So use caching in data raptors and IP. Hello everyone, today we are diving deep into the top 15 Omniscript best practices that can help you transform how you build guided experience in Salesforce OmniStudio. Whether you are beginner or a seasoned pro, these tips will help you build faster, smarter and more scalable solution inside your org. So let's start with the design best practices. So first design practices is keep Omniscript modular using child scripts. So what does that mean is break large Omniscripts into child Omniscripts for better readability and reusability. What does that means is let's jump to the example. So I have this Omniscript. I have created a separate step for personal information, business information, other information choices and review confirmation. Now apart from these, like what if I create a separate Omniscript for each section rather than load the complete Omniscript with multiple steps? Just load each Omniscript one by one. Once the personal step is done, then load the second Omniscript and vice versa. So to do that, what we can do is, as we know, like in the Omniscript, we can mark it as reusable. So once you mark it as reusable, it will show you under this Omniscript section. So if you see under these elements, we have all these Omniscript. For all these Omniscripts, we have reusable check marks enabled. So I have just created one Omniscript with the reusable Omniscript name, and as you can see, it has reusable check mark on. And now if I go back to the Omniscript and search for that reusable, as you can see, I can see that reusable Omniscript. I can drag and drop and paste it here and it's gonna visible to me. So rather than having multiple steps, add multiple Omniscript. So now let's jump to the other section. So next is use consistent and descriptive naming convention. So stick to naming convention pattern. Like as you can see here, for each component, I am just adding a prefix for that particular component name and then what that step refers to. So let's say this step is for personal information. User gonna add first name and last name, and there could be more fields here as well. I am just giving a demo. So here I just keep the prefix as the component name and then the detail of that component. So similar logic I applies to the field as well. So if you can see, this is first name, it's a text field. So what I did is I added a txt underscore first name like that without space. Don't add any space in between element name, it reduce the performance. Okay, so same applies to this. Any component I have created, I have implemented the naming convention, like similar pattern for each and every field that I dragged and dropped. I kept it is like a prefix as a component name and then underscore and the detail of the component. So that's what the use naming convention is. So now group fields logically using step and section. So what does that mean is use steps and section instead of piling everything on one screen. So now let's jump to that example as well. So let's say I have this personal information, business information in one step rather than having a two different steps. Or we can say that in the personal information, I wanna add more fields here. So those fields are not relevant to information. Like use steps and section instead of piling everything on one screen. Which means, so we have a form that we want, or like we want the user to be filled. So rather than displaying all these fields or like first name, last name, all these information in one step, we divide it into either different step, or within that step either we can create a block. There is a block component where we can add in different elements as well. Or if it is not related to that particular section, let's say the personal information, we only want address, contact details and other information to be here, not nothing else. Like if we want business, it should be a separate step. It should not under that personal information step, like so that all the data in one step is like it's cause a performance issue and it's not a good experience as well. So that's what it means. Now use conditional views to show or hide fields dynamically. So let's say if we have 10 fields here, but we want these blocks to be visible if user entered this first name and last name. So we can add a conditional view here, display only if these two fields have any value. So it's gonna increase the performance, and also it's good for users to be not display all the fields at the same time so that user get confused like what all these fields about, right? So we'll go step by step. First, user will enter first name, last name, and then we will display this block. So use conditional view. Now let's jump to the performance optimization. So first step is use data raptor turbo extract when no transformation is needed. So yeah, key point of the turbo extract is like it's too fast apart if we compare it with the data raptor extract or data raptor transform. So if you use turbo, you can fetch the data for one particular object only at the same time, but you cannot have any transformation over there. So when there is no transformation needed, use turbo extract. Offload business logic to integration procedure. So let's say if there is a logic required from business to validate all these fields whatever user entered in the personal information. So if it is like complex, use an IP integration procedure. Like if there are more than one validations, rather than using a set value in between these steps, we can use a IP. Or if we have to validate some data from these fields, we have to call an API to check if the data entered by user is correct or not. Let's say if there is an address field here, if user enter an address, so we have to hit an API to check whatever address user enter is correct or not. So for those business logics, use integration procedure rather than adding all the like validation within these Omniscript. So limit filter the data you query. So what does that mean is only bring in what you need, filter records and avoid loading full object. So let's say once you fill out all the form here, like while saving the details, rather than passing the whole Omni JSON data, use a data raptor transform before that to make a structure like that. Or you can pass a specific node here, send JSON path or send JSON node. It's gonna pass that particular data to the data raptor rather than passing the full Omni JSON data that has unnecessary data that we don't want to be saved in our backend. So next point is cache reusable or static data where applicable. So use caching in data raptors and IP for static data like pick list or country list. So if we know that there is a static data coming from our backend or like from the Salesforce that is not gonna change too frequently, we can use cache option in the Omniscript or the IP and the data raptor as well. So now let's jump to the user experience and validation. Apply field and step level validations early. So in this case, what does it means is apply validations at field and step level instead of waiting until the end. So let's take an example. So in this case, if I entered first name, if I add any special character within that, and according to the business, we don't want that special characters to be saved into the backend, what we're gonna do is we can either add a regex here, or we can stop the user in between. Like when user click on enter, we can add a set error here. So yeah, here you can add a regex to check if user entered the special character in the first name. So it will right away throw an error. You can enter a throw error message here. So rather than entering the special character here and stop at the validation on the review information page, so make all these error scenarios in between that step instead of waiting until the end. So now next is show user friendly error messages. So as I mentioned, display user friendly error message. So let's either make these fields required. Every time if you click on continue, it will throw an error message, friendly error message, that these two fields are required. And if there is a complex logic for the fields like date or like address or postal code validation and all, so you can validate that after this step once user click on next, and then validate that scenario. And in between that you can add a set error, you can add a conditional block here, and once you click on next, it's gonna check for the set error and it will throw an error if there is any issue within that address or like date or any phone number field. So it will not let user to go to the next step. So user has to complete that. It's the best user experience rather than letting users to go to the next step, and then once we save the data it will throw an error because our data or our backend is not supported in that way that it will accept the either special character or date format or something like that. So design Omniscript with the mobile responsiveness in mind. So many users are on mobile as well, so keep screens short and fields minimal. So let's preview this. I'm gonna show you how you can check if whatever design you have made is suitable for mobile or not. So I'm gonna close this. So as you can see, once you inspect the Chrome, there is an option here to check for the mobile device toolbar. So here you can see this is the responsive design for the iPhone SE. You can change any device here. There are a couple of devices Google Chrome support, iPad Pro, Surface Pro and all. So you can check for each, is there anything that is breaking, like next button is coming in the next line, or this save to, like any component that is not displaying as expected, you can check here. Maintainability and reusability. Store constant and labels in custom metadata or custom labels. So if there is any label that you want to use here with the title or placeholder, so rather than adding all the data as a static into the Omniscript, use custom label and add a custom label directly in the field label and it will fetch it accordingly. Build reusable lightning web components. So create a lightning web components for logic you will reuse often. So let's say there is a requirement to display global address or something like that. So if that is not achievable through the Omniscripts component that we have out of the box. So rather than creating a specific LWC component for this flow, create a generic component so that if we need the same UI in other screens, we can refer that LWC component to the different Omniscript as well. Now follow proper version control. Clone, test and activate. Clone, edit, test and activate never work directly on live version. So as we know, except data mapper, we have version controlling for all the OmniStudio components. So we have version controlling in integration procedure, Omniscript, flex cards, but not in the data mappers as of now. So what does that mean is, so as you can see here, so this is version 1 right now. So I'm gonna create a new version. So it's activated. So ideally we should not deactivate this and make some changes. Just keep this one because this was the last working version. So create a new version out of it and make your changes so that you have a backup. If something breaks in your version, you can refer to the previous version. So now the next part is error handling and governance. So use error handling blocks in integration procedure. So as I mentioned earlier, if is there any validation required in between steps, or you are calling an API, or like you are validating this data with the backend, add a error scenario, like just in case if something breaks, IP will throw an error and will display that same error message on the Omniscript to the UI as well, so that it doesn't confuse the user why the screen is broken and user is not able to complete or get to the other scenarios. Track and monitor Apex kernel limit using debug log. So what does that mean is, let's say if there is any scenario where the Apex governor limit exceeds, log that error message meaningfully without crashing the user flow and display the user friendly error message so that it notify the user that something went wrong. It's not you, it's us error message, something like that. Avoid editing live script, always used version changes. So as I mentioned in this, don't change any component live or like deactivate the last activated version directly and make a change. Create a new version out of it and then add your changes. So there are some Salesforce official tips as well, like there is a documentation provided by Salesforce as well. Over there also they mention use unique names for the elements response nodes, document purpose using internal nodes in each element. So what does this mean is, like create a documentation for that Omniscript that you have built for each and every component, specify that like what does this element will do, or there is an internal note as well for each component. If I go to that, so here you can see that there is a note, so you can mention that what this block will do. You can mention that notes here. For each and every component we have notes, so try to add these update these notes so that if any other developer is going through this Omniscript, it will be clear to that this component is here because to achieve that particular scenario. And also as we are on the nodes, so always when you create a Omniscript, add a description as well so that it appears that this Omniscript is created for which scenario or which flow. So as you can see, I have created this Omniscript just to discuss the Omniscript best practices. So I'm using this for the demo, so that's why I've added a description like that. And also for the type and subtype, whenever you create a new Omniscript, mention that specific type and subtype so that it gives the reference for that particular flow or feature. As part of that, you have created this Omniscript. So now for this I have added Omniscript best practices subtype, so as it clears that Omniscript is the component that I'm using and the subtype is best practices. So for you can add this type. You can keep the type as your either company name, or you can use it as a project name as a prefix and the type, and subtype you can refer to the feature that you are working working on. Avoid context ID assignments. It's reserved for record ID in the URL. So don't use context ID assignments. Avoid element name changes post deployments. So this means is like if you deploy that Omniscript to the higher org, now you rename that element. Let's say if I deployed this first name and now I'm going to rename it to the first name initial or something like that. So it's gonna impact throughout the complete flow because we are referring this component while saving the data, and if there is any other validation in between these two components, we are referring that. So it's not a recommended way. Either create a new field out of it or display it accordingly according to the requirement. So don't rename. If you rename, then you have to make the changes throughout the complete Omniscript flow. Limit recursive blocks to under 10 levels. So what does that mean is, like, let's say if you create a edit block, so the limit should be under 10 level, or there are blocks within that same step. Let's say if you drag and drop the block component, don't add blocks more than 10, otherwise it's gonna impact the performance. Also the UI will be huge. User has to scroll down the complete flow, or either add a conditional block for each component, and also it's gonna slow down the process because if there are more than 10 blocks or components, so it's gonna check for each component again and again, and it's gonna slow down the process. Avoid exceeding 750 elements per Omniscript. So as I mentioned in the very earlier, if there is any requirement where we have the complex structure, always use multiple components or multiple Omniscript or reusable Omniscript. Don't add all the components the same Omniscript because there is a restrictions that is 750 elements per Omniscript. So I would say 750 is also a huge components count. If you add 750 components in one Omniscript, I don't imagine the performance for that because it's gonna take too much time to load, and it's not good for the like as per the user experience as well. So just avoid too many components in one Omniscript. Ensure Omniscript LWC size stays under 4 MB. So every time you create a new Omniscript, it generates a Lightning Web component behind the scene with the same type and subtype. So when you create or activate the Omniscript, just retrieve the LWC component from your org, and you will see that LWC component in the list. So download that and make sure that the LWC size is under 4 MB. So yep, that's it. And stay tuned for the deep dives on the integration procedure, flex cards, and more. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.